Howdy, partner. Welcome to Pandora's Box. Welcome to Pandora's Box, everybody. We are here yet again. We're having a lovely day. I'm back in the studio with young Bullwinkle.
That's me.
The man with the golden nug.
Oh,
Drupert Le Bear, as they call him in France.
Howdy.
That's Drupert the Bear in English-speaking countries. And we've got a special guest today. My cousin Emma's in the studio. She's come from all the way from the east.
From the East Coast.
Yeah.
As if like some Russian lady in the night.
From Turkey.
So yeah, thanks for being here with us today, Em.
That's all right.
We're going to talk about a plethora of subjects and topics. As per usual, I got some interesting factoids.
Got some of those factoids.
Quickfire facts for later on in the episode. I thought though, because I love weight training, and it's sort of one thing that I've been doing pretty much like since I was like in school now. And my cousin Emma's keen on her weightlifting as well, her weight training, and has trained with me in the dungeon, as I call it, Team Vulgar Dungeon. I thought we'd talk a little bit about weight training today, and you've gotten into training a little bit recently, haven't you, Bullwinkle?
I'm huge.
I am huge.
Exactly.
Yeah, Andrew's dabbled a little bit over the years.
Dabbled. Hopefully this will inspire me to get back into it a bit.
You always like sort of like get yourself in like pretty decent shape, and then just sort of getting in shape, you just sort of like fall off.
I've never hit the peak.
No, you've never hit the peak.
I've never hit the peak. One day in my life I'll hit
the peak. Yeah,
and I'll be proud.
Bicep peak.
Bicep peak. I've never had a bicep peak.
Yeah. No.
It's weird. I think
everyone has their natural sort of like parts, though.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, mine's my boobies, I'd say.
Yeah.
Your
and like
pecs.
I remember
my pecs. They would be always the ones that would like pop out first.
Yeah. And like when we were younger, you had like naturally good abs.
Yeah, I had a six-pack.
Yeah,
I was proud of that.
Underneath that. Now
I've got a six-pack of beer, baby.
Yeah. The only six-pack Drew's got nowadays are the ones he drinks in the evening. Yeah. But yeah, I think you're the only one actually hasn't had a workout with me, Bullwinkle.
Yeah, man. I didn't want to come and show you up. That's why.
Yeah, you have to come over and have a workout with me sometime, though.
100%. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
Yeah, man. I say you've gone through some stages over the years, haven't you? Come and work out with me.
Yeah, it's always good fun. I remember one of the first times I worked out with you when you were back in West Huntsville.
Yeah.
And was in the garage set up there. I remember we like had a workout and then finished off with some kettlebell swings, and like I did about like 25 kettlebell swings or something, just like one set of reps, and I literally almost passed out. I remember like the black coming in from the sides. And I was just like, oh no, I've overdone it.
I remember it was like winter time, and I remember we were doing the kettlebell swings outside, because obviously by that point you're like so hot and sweaty, but it was like a proper cold day, and yeah, I just remember like. I remember Drew was a bit like that, and he was like, man, I'm tripping.
Yeah.
He was like, man, I'm tripping. He was like, I'm just like tripping from working out. Because yeah, like one of the things I used to do, like, I haven't done it in a while, but sometimes I'll do just to like finish off for conditioning. I'll do like 100 reps of kettlebell swings to finish my workout, in as little sets as possible. You know, so like try and do it in like, you know, no more than sort of like 4 sets, but like try and do them as you know as little sets as possible, and that will like really do you in.
It's a really weird one, kettlebell swings, because it feels like it's a proper mix of like weightlifting and cardio at the same time.
So good.
Like I don't think there's many other things for me that like mix those two things like so. Because you can do like 20-30 reps or something, but which is quite long.
Because it's like a ballistic movement, isn't it? It's not all like it's not all about like slow and control and time and attention and that.
It's like you get into the flow of it.
Yeah, and you're like pumping out reps. But it's like, as you said, it's like a mix. It's one of the best things in terms of like, if you haven't got much time on your hands and you just sort of want to get like fitter, stronger, and just get like a bit more toned, then things like kettlebell swings are like so good. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's not a specialist movement by any means, but it's like a great finishing movement, and it's great for people that don't have much time. You know, you could literally just do like, say like, oh, I'm just going to do 100 kettlebell swings like every day. Yeah. And you'd get in decent shape.
Yeah, because it kind of targets quite a lot of your body, doesn't it? Yeah. Like it's kind of like a full body movement.
Not really much like your chest or things like that. But I mean, obviously, you're working like your hams, your whole posterior chain really well, because like when you bring it to like the lower portion of the movement, one of the things that you do to then bring the kettlebell up, as well as sort of like you're not actually really like raising your arms so much. Obviously, you are, but it's not really your shoulder muscles like the same with like a front raise. It's more because you're like hip thrusting through with so much velocity
and
that's causing the kettlebell, or at least that's what the movement should be. Some people do use their like shoulders a little bit too much, but really you should be using your posterior chain to almost like hump that kettlebell up, you know?
Right on up there.
Right, but yeah, it's one of the best things to like strengthen your... If you've got like weak hamstrings and glutes, and one of the reasons you'll be able to like figure it out if you have like weak hamstrings and glutes, because say like if you struggle with a lockout on like a deadlift, or also even with like a squat,
what's a lockout mean?
So a lockout is basically like the end of a movement on a deadlift. So like when you like the finished rep, when you complete a rep, you'll have achieved lockout. So obviously you start in like a deadlift position where you like grasp the bar, and then like you lift it, and lockout is when you've completed the rep. So in the powerlifting competition, that's when you would be given like, you know, you would have completed the rep and you would have been given that rep, you know? So yeah, so like lockout, and also with like a squat, if like you, if like say you can like bounce out of the hole pretty decent, but you have struggle, you know, locking out, so basically just like standing up straight with your hips through, then like if you struggle with that, you've probably got weak glutes and hams. So one of the best things to remedy that is to do kettlebell swings, you know, like heavy kettlebell swings.
Nice.
I remember I used to love also as well, like switching up, you know, like sometimes, like just doing like 100 reps, like with sort of like, you know, a relatively lighter one, and then sometimes I'd get out my Big Charlie. That's my biggest kettlebell. And then I just sort of like knock out sort of about like 4 reps of 12, sort of 4 sets of 12 with that.
Whoa.
I don't think I've ever done kettlebell swings.
No?
I don't think so, no.
They'd be good for you to do, I reckon.
I really want to, I know they're a very versatile piece of equipment as well, so like, but I only really do kettlebell swings, but you see like where you flip it up and then onto your arm and then like an overhead press of it and stuff.
So you would almost basically like do like a clean.
Clean and press.
Like a clean and press, yeah.
Yeah, there's loads of different things you can do with them as well, isn't there?
Yeah, have you ever done do you ever like dabble with kettlebells or anything like that?
Not really. I'm always scared to do kettlebell swings at the end of a workout because you get like sweaty hands and I always feel like it's going to fly off.
Yeah, I do know what you mean. I would feel like that when I would do my one, because regardless of whether I'm doing them heavy or light, I'd always do them as like a finisher. And like my Big Charlie kettlebell is 40 kilograms, and it's enough that by the end of the workout, even if you're like, you know, like around 100 kilos like me, I'm like a bit over 100 kilos.
It'll like pull you.
It's a lot, you need to make sure your feet are properly planted in that, because obviously by the end of your by the end of your workout, you're pretty tired, and like the majority of kettlebells, mine at least don't, and I know the majority don't either. They don't have knurling. What's called knurling? So like say on an Olympic bar, or like a barbell will have knurling.
Knurling.
Emma will know about knurling.
Knurling.
So what's knurling, Em?
It's almost like sandpapery, like it's all got grooves in it to help you grip.
Oh, like grippy stuff.
Yeah.
So you know like the grip on like a barbell?
Right.
It's like almost like little diamond, like tiny little diamond shaped thing, and it means you can sort of like see, it's like roughly say where you should put your hands.
Yeah.
I mean, not always.
Cool name. Knurling.
Yeah. So, and also say like a standard, say like powerlifting bar will have like knurling in the center as well as out here, and you want the knurling in the center because it basically helps the grip. So when it's on your back, it's less likely that the bar is going to slip off your back. Yeah. Whereas say like an Olympic weightlifting bar won't have knurling in the center, you know, because it's just more just like snatches and things like that. But yeah, so like you mainly do sort of like powerlifting and bodybuilding movements, don't you?
Yeah.
I was going to say actually, because I don't think I've ever actually asked you, because obviously I thought it was really cool when I first found out that you got into weightlifting and that, but like what inspired you to get into like weight training, and like why did you actually start weight training?
I've always been very sporty.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of horse riding, netball. And it's sort of, I think a lot of people my age suddenly got into going to the gym, and some people sort of did it as a social thing. So I started off going just with a friend. We sort of mucked about a bit and just really got into it. And I've got a few friends that enjoy it as well. So
you literally just sort of like started for a bit of fun, and then you sort of got the itch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool to see a girl into like the more weighty side of stuff, because normally when I'd go to the gym it'd mostly be cardio things that you'd see, so that's cool.
That's what I thought was cool as well. Like when Em came and trained with me, like a lot of girls, even girls that sort of like into weight training a bit, they're still like the main reason they do it is just sort of like build their booty. Whereas like you like genuinely like doing everything, don't you?
Yeah.
So like Emma like pretty much trains like the same as I train.
Oh, cool.
And the thing is, it's like there's no, like obviously there are physiological differences between a man or a woman, but that doesn't mean that the training between a man or a woman should be different. It doesn't need to be different. You know, it's like it's funny.
Some things will be easier or not. Or,
yeah,
you know.
It's funny actually, because last time I went and saw like our granddad on Monday.
Yeah.
And I was talking to him actually a little bit about you doing like weight training and that, because we were talking about the fact that you were obviously over for work experience and that. And it was, he said something actually a bit like that. It's just funny, and like old-fashioned people and that. Like he just said something like, "Oh yeah, like, oh, she needs to watch herself though, because like women can get hurt doing that sort of thing." You know what I mean? And it was just like a really funny comment, like, well, why would I get hurt any more than I would? Do you know what I mean? It's like, if you, as long as you're using what is your 1 rep max on say like a squat is no more like dangerous to you than what would be my 1 rep max on a squat.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Regardless of what that weight is, your 1 rep max, whether you're a man or a woman, that's just as dangerous to whoever, you know? Like, it doesn't matter.
Just doing things to your means and being sensible about it.
And that's why, like, women and men can be like training partners the same way that, like, you don't have to have like a same sex sort of like partner, because as I said, like, you can, you train the same, and as long as like the weights that you're using are about the same like heaviness to you, like relative. Do you know what I mean? Then you have the same workout. That's the only thing that's important, because obviously if you were say if I was trying to do like 10 reps with something that was like almost like 10 reps to failure, like a weight that was like 10, and then say like, Emma was doing like a weight that was like she could easily do 10 reps, and we're using the same amount of like rest in between sets, then obviously I'm going to get like destroyed way quicker than she is. So obviously, but as long as you're using, the same like sort of like, relative weights and that are like right for you, then that's cool. But yeah, no, I was proud of you, because you came over, didn't you, and you did loads of barbell squats.
Yeah.
And worked up to, I think it was like 3 reps with 80 kilos, which is the same weight as Bullwinkle.
More than me.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm 70.
You're 70 kilos?
Yeah.
Oh, I want to see you pick Bullwinkle.
Yeah, I want to see you squat Bullwinkle.
Yeah. Over your shoulders.
Yeah. So
throw me in the air.
Yeah, and like I know that obviously it's hard to tell from camera, but you're like about 6. You're a bit over 6 foot, or about 6 foot.
Yeah, but I think I'm literally 6 foot on the dot. So.
Yeah. So he's like, even though he's obviously a string bean, he's not like he's like a dwarf.
No.
So that's cool. And then we went back down to
like 60.
About 60 for about 8 or 10 reps. So yeah, that's impressive, man. It's just funny to think, obviously, of my cousin just like squatting you, Bullwinkle.
Yeah.
It's just like a funny thought in my head. Do you know what I mean?
I don't think I could squat that much. There's no chance.
You should be like a WWE wrestler or something. That'd be sick. Yeah.
That'd be a dream job. I'd love to do that as a job. Just a little off branch. I'd love to be a WWE wrestler, man.
Yeah, so would I, man.
I feel like there's so much like acting and everything involved in it.
I'd love like choreographing the entrance and everything.
Yeah,
deciding my entrance music.
And like all your outfits and everything, like the chants that you're going to try and get the crowd to do. I feel like that'd be so much fun.
Yeah, man, definitely.
Yeah.
One thing I thought was real fun when you came and trained with me, Em, because you'd never really done any movements like that before. So we did like a load of snatches, didn't we? Yeah.
So what's a snatch? Yeah.
Basically, it's like you got like you can do like dumbbell or barbell or kettlebell snatches. So
Right.
do you remember I was like doing a little bit around yours, Drew?
Oh, is that what you showed me?
Yeah, I did it with your kettlebell.
Quick movement straight up.
So you almost like start off. The position you start off is almost as if like you're doing like a deadlift.
Yeah.
But then you like very like in a ballistic fashion and like a very powerful fashion, you like snatch the weight up to like overhead, and you can do it with a barbell, or you can do it with a dumbbell or a kettlebell.
Yeah, rather than like up to your chest and then a press, it's like snatch all the way
right overhead. Yeah, so directly from the floor to the overhead, and it's quite like a technical movement. Like I think like you found that when you did it, didn't you? Like
it's hard to get used to at first from mainly doing like.
Yeah, like obviously when you do something like a squat. Or like or anything, whether it's like some sort of like bench press variation or anything, obviously it's very like, it's like it's quite a controlled movement, and it's almost like, I think especially for people that haven't dabbled in any sort of more like powerlifting, like weightlifting, like Olympic weightlifting sort of style movements or things like that, like you're almost taught when you're doing things like powerlifting and more like hypertrophy work, like bodybuilding style training, like obviously everything has to be sort of under control. You know what I mean? Everything has to be almost like quite slow and controlled and everything like that. Not slow, but controlled, and certainly not like fast. So then it's almost like you almost have to untrain yourself again to be like boom, because like when you do like a snatch, like even the range of motion is like massive, like literally from the floor to like full lockout overhead, which like for me is probably like 8 foot in the air or something. Do you know what I mean? Like my arm like fully extended, but it's like the whole rep takes like less than a second. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's very ballistic, it's very powerful. Yeah, did you find it quite fun though?
It was fun. It's fun to do something different every so often.
Yeah, and I love the fact that with movements like that, it's all like power. Do you know what I mean? It's like not the best for like building muscle, but it's great for strength and power, like building up. You know what I mean? And I think with things like that as well, it's good for identifying weak points. You know, like if you can't do a movement like that, you must have a weak point somewhere from like your ankles to like the top of your body. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And then it's almost like identifying that. It's like, where is my weak point? You know? And then that's what I find quite fun about that as well. You know, it's almost like helps you with that. You know, it's like, what is it? Have you got like weak shoulders? Have you got a weak posterior chain? That's quite similar like that as well. What we were talking about kettlebell swings, like a lot of something like with a snatch. I mean, it's a lot of like posterior chain work. You need to get powerful, you know. And I think someone, you know, we talked about like say like Brock Lesnar on the show before. Like Brock Lesnar is like, obviously he's like a really strong guy, but what Brock Lesnar mainly is like powerful, and there is a bit of a difference. There is different
explosive. Isn't it?
It's that explosive. You know, like when I was like showing you about when he like punched Heath Herring, and he literally that Heath Herring did like a backwards roll, and then like Brock Lesnar like sprinted across the ring, and it was like scary how fast he moved. Like that's power.
Yes.
So I mean, there are a lot of guys that are like strong, but they're very slow and they're sluggish.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like my old man's a bit like that, you know, at this stage in his life. Do you know what I mean? He's like very strong, but he ain't going to go anywhere fast. Whereas like power is like the ability to like shift weight quickly. And that's one of the things I love about those sort of movements. Do you know what I mean? It's really like athletic. Yeah, man.
Just on a side note as well, what's posterior chain?
So posterior chain is basically like the backwards chain of muscle from like your calves right up to like your traps.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so basically like all of the muscles on your back down. So your posterior chain, as I said, anything, you know, your traps, your lats, your spinal erectors, your glutes, your hamstrings, and your calves. That's all your posterior chain.
Ah, cool.
And I think a lot of people, you know, it's like it's fairly common for people to end up with like a relatively weak posterior chain compared to their like anterior chain, which is just like your front, because especially like with like young lads and stuff, young lads want to do things like bench press and barbell curls. I mean, all the muscles that are sort of make you look good when you're wearing like a tight top, and things like that. But if you don't have a strong posterior chain, then you'll like really suffer, and you could get like injuries down the line. And also, as I said, it's just going to make you like a lot weaker. Like I know like a lot of lads that can like bench press as much as they squat, and to me that's like ridiculous. You should be able to squat a lot more than you should be able to bench. Do you know what I mean?
I think that's why I really like the idea of like full body workouts rather than you know, when I did, like I would always do that, like, you know, just pick some exercises that I can mix up that are going to target like most of the body through the reps and stuff. Just so it's a bit more natural, like things that you would do in everyday life, or if you were very active that you do in everyday life.
What they call sort of like functional strength.
You know, I think that will look more natural than like just completely bulking out one part of your body, you know. Like
some obviously people that are just like purely in it for the bodybuilding side of things, that's like almost like purely look, isn't it? So they don't really care about their performance or like how much they can lift or anything like that. To them it's all about the look. But the downside of that is like that isn't very functional. So if you only ever say like do machines, you're not going to work your stabilizer muscles really. You might end up with like weak points and things like that. Whereas it's like you need to be able to get hay bale and stack it on top of the other hay bale. And again, doing things like snatches and stuff like that, I will be great at that. And as I said, just like I always think of exercises in terms of like pick exercises that give you the most bang for your buck. So you know, when I start hearing people, like, don't get me wrong, there's a time and a place for isolation exercises, but when people start going over and like overly on about like, oh, this isn't like, you know, let's do isolation exercises, or you need to do isolation exercises, or you should do isolation exercises primarily. I'm like, no. I mean, that's like such a waste of time. Pick exercises that give you the most bang for your buck, you know, like squats, deadlifts, bench, and like all pressing and row variations, you know, all things like that, like, you know, like rows, you know, like to pick like big rows, like movements. If you want to build like a big back and strong posterior chain, do things like bent over barbell rows, or like dumbbell rows, or like what I was doing with you, like inverted rows, which is basically like similar to doing like a barbell row, but you're just using your body weight and you're like upside down, essentially, you know. Cool. And like that'll pretty much work like every muscle in your back, you know, rather than thinking like, oh, I'm going to do this like specialist exercise which is going to target this like one small like muscle in my back or something. I was like, well, why would I want to do that? You know, because like if you work hard when you're say like doing, if you pick like one rowing movement, say just like for your back, like a session, and do it like, say you do like a one rowing movement every say like 2 or 3 days, then like as long as you're working out hard, you'll have pretty much fried every single muscle in your back. You know, and then if you want to like do as like a finisher, if you then want to do something that's a bit more isolation-y, or do you know what I mean, like sometimes, you know, I do, you know, like most of, say, like my arm work I get from like rows and things like dips, you know, dips and push-ups and like press variations. But then it's like, if just for like some fun, like once or twice a week, well, I'd say it's very rarely twice a week actually, like once a week I do just want to do like some curls and some push downs, like for fun, then I will. Do you know what I mean? But that's not the backbone.
It's having like the ones that are just super fun as well. I remember like when I'd go in the gym, one of my like fun ones would be
Cable crossovers. Yeah, I knew you were going to say that. Yeah,
I love them.
I remember you loved doing that.
Get on the machine and like,
you know, when you get like it's like on like a high pulley and you get like and basically do like crossovers. Each one,
and you've got to kind of go into this position where you're like leaning forward and it's kind of taking your weight, and then you kind of pull it down in front of you. Was always really fun.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, like I used to do them sometimes with you when we were in the gym when we were like younger, but I never ever do like isolation chest exercises. I literally do like bench press variations, dips and push-ups. Yeah, and that's it for my chest. Yeah, you know? And it's like, you know, when I see like say like I see like a lot of lads like with your Bill Bullwinkle doing like, and you see him in the gym all the time doing like different curl variations and different like push down variations because they want to get bigger arms. And obviously you don't want to like give advice where it's not warranted. Like if somebody asks your advice, then that's fine, but you don't want to just go around the gym and like, you should be doing that, bro. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like unsolicited, isn't it? But I think like it almost in my head, I'm like, man, like you shouldn't be doing that. Like, you know, if you want to get like big arms, you want to get good at doing dips. If you can whack out like four sets of dips, like, you know, with like pretty high reps with your own body weight, that's gonna get your triceps like way more jacked than doing push downs with like 15 kilos or something. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, for sure. You can like go full range of motion down in that, you know, multiple sets.
And it feels like that would be like a very natural thing as well.
Yeah,
like, so when
functional.
you're using your own body weight, because your body, unless you're like really, really massive and really weak, like as in like,
well,
really
yeah, but then that's like your own fault, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I know what I mean by that is like you should be able to shift your own body weight. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm really heavy.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, you know, if you use your own body weight to do exercises, that's going to be perfectly
like if
the weight for you.
The way I see it is, if you're that heavy compared to your strength level, then you've obviously like you need to do a lot of work then to undo that. Do you know what I mean? Like you should be as strong as you are heavy. Do you know what I mean? I don't think like
to still use your own body weight.
Yeah,
and then it'll shift it.
I wouldn't be like, oh no, like I'm over 16 stone, so I can't do like
Gonna have to get on the 10 kilogram pull downs.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, well, no. It's like I should be able to move my own body weight because, as you said, otherwise then you're not like functional anymore, and then you're not very helpful to people when you have to like help them move house and stuff. How about you, Drew?
Oh man, never again would I live on a 3rd story flat. And
it's like 5th story or something, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, 5th.
It's like how many stories is that?
It's 3 stair sets, but they're like 2 stories each step.
Yeah. So it's like
right
6 sets of steps, but like each one,
it covers 2 levels.
Yeah, I'm with you, because it like goes around a bend, doesn't it? It goes around a corner. So
that's so top floor, but that was
that was quite fun though, wasn't it? Yeah, so basically,
I don't know if it's fun, but
it was. It was tiring because it was super hot, but it was quite fun, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was a nice sort of like, it was a bit novel. Yeah, so Drew's moved house recently, so I helped Drew move house like last Monday and Tuesday. And yeah, Drew lives right at the top of like a block of flats, and obviously we had to like move his like sofa, like super king size bed, like just loads of stuff,
loads of bits and bobs,
tables and all sorts.
It's crazy, like when you live in a normal house and you're just on that like bottom level, and you've packed everything up, like how long it took us to like get everything like down the stairs, like you'd have to do it in stages and then in the car and everything, and then when you get there it's literally just all done in like 10 minutes.
Yeah, like, it was almost like underwhelming how quickly it took us to unload it.
Yeah,
because Drew's moved into a house, so obviously like the majority of us packing was just getting it from his room, his flat, down the stair and like down the stairs. Yeah. So like that's what was taking like 90% of the time. So when we eventually got to where he lives now, and it's just like a house. Yeah, it just obviously because the van was more or less, it was like 20 feet from the front door or something, but it wasn't like. Yeah, it was just like, it seemed like it was like, oh, we've already done.
Oh right,
we're already
that
done.
Was quick.
Yeah, it's a good workout though. I said just like almost like sprinting up the steps in between, like bringing all this like stuff down.
Yeah, very practical workout as well because you knew you had to do it.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah, it was quite fun though. But yeah, again, I think stuff like that. I mean, I wouldn't want to be in a position where I thought like, it's all fun and games, isn't it? Just like sitting around like eating fast food and stuff. But then say like, if you have to move house, or like your mate asks you to help them move house, and then if you just like couldn't do it, or you just felt like you were useless, like to me that would I'd hate that.
Yeah, or like big walks. I love going on like fat treks and everything.
Yeah.
And then like some, when you want to do, or family visiting or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, well we can't do that. And I'm like, like that.
Yeah,
really
I know what you mean.
Like,
yeah,
like it'd be a nice thing to do together. Get a bit.
But somebody's just so out of shape they literally just can't go for a walk in the woods or something.
Yeah.
And you're like, what?
Yeah.
Bit gutted, and then you're like, you just have to sort of accept it. But you're like, that sucks. Yeah. You want to do like all this like physical stuff.
You're not going to walk up the Glastonbury tour with me? Like that?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like, no. Go into cardiac arrest, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah, physical preparedness. It's called, there was actually like some, like strength and conditioning coaches and stuff use, it's called GPP and SPP. So, GPP stands for General Physical Preparedness. So that means like strength and conditioning coaches will give you exercises which will just increase your general physical preparedness, which means just giving you exercises that will just generally make you a more efficient, well-rounded specimen. And then you have SPP, specific physical preparedness. So say I was like coaching like a young lad that wanted to be a powerlifter, you'd go through like a couple of like phases of programming where say I'd give him lots of like GPP, which will just make him like a stronger and more efficient athlete in general. And then you do like SPP. So at the end, if obviously a powerlifting meet, you literally just do like bench, squat, and deads. So then you would literally taper down until you were just doing bench, squats, and deads. But at first you want to make sure that you're generally really fit and strong in like
get the trunk
in like every
ready.
way possible. Do you know what I mean? So you'd be thinking, right, you need to make sure you're strong in every single plane of motion, which means like pushing this way, pushing this way, pushing this way, pulling this way, pulling this way, pulling this way. Lateral plane, so like being strong this way. So if you think like, people that obviously like builders and like gardeners and people that have physical jobs will work with that all the time. Say you had like a pickup truck and they had like loads of bags of like cement in the back, and you were like loading off from the pickup into like a wheelbarrow you had on your right. You would have to be strong at lateral. For lateral side to side strength, which is one thing that a lot of people don't think of, even that they go to the gym. They'll be like, okay, I need to do like some core, or do like some abs or some planking.
You can get the medicine ball and like put it to each side of you, lie on the floor and do that.
Or you could do it stood up. You could literally stand up, pick up like a heavy medicine ball or something, and throw it to your left as hard as you can, run to it, and then throw it to your right as hard as you can. And then you're getting in some good conditioning as well. Because it's like, you're having to like run back and forth to the ball, but then you're making your muscles work and getting strong, like side to side. So you just need to like take yourself through every single plane of motion.
Yeah, another area I've really struggled with always is like shoulders. Like for some reason, I think
shoulder mobility is really bad, isn't it?
Yeah, especially in my left, a lot weaker on my left side anyway. But like, even just with nothing, but that range of motion, it's not real. You don't do it that often. Like hands above your head.
No.
Praise the Lord.
I wonder if it's like something to do with you playing the guitar so much or something like that.
Yeah, it's weird.
Do you know what I mean?
My shoulders are real
something
weak.
About being like.
I wonder if that is like kind of a common problem. Yeah.
Something about having your arm
my right
like
shoulder blade as well. Like, or the back there because
I can imagine it will create imbalances because both arms are doing something very different.
Yeah.
This arm's like this. This arm's almost like hunched over.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And also it's carrying the guitar.
On it.
Yeah.
If you're standing up a long time.
And you wouldn't think like at first you think nah, surely not, because it's like how can it be that bad? But you think if you're doing it like chronically like Drew has, like think about the amount of hours that Drew's done that since he was like 12 or whatever. That's like a long time.
Yeah, repetitive.
Because there's that the lead singer of Trivium, Matt Heafy, he's like really into his jiu-jitsu, isn't he?
Yeah. And he has a special kind of
he's
strap.
made himself like a special strap so that it evenly
balances the weight across both of his shoulders.
Because
he
was starting to get issues, and it's because he's like obviously as a professional musician he carries around a guitar all the time, and even though guitars aren't heavy, it's just enough to sort of like throw you off over the decades. It starts to add up.
It's funny as well. The one funny little muscle that I've developed from playing guitar, which I never realised about, it's like on this hand, this part here. If you like clench your fist, that would be soft.
Oh yeah.
Like generally,
yeah.
But on my left hand, that is just pumped. Just
Whoa.
I've got like I've just got a little muscle there that's just like
Do you reckon
just
it's
really
from down
hard.
picking?
It's from my left hand from doing holding chord shapes and like playing.
At first, sorry, I thought you meant your right hand, and I was thinking it was weird as you were telling me because I thought my left hand seems a bit harder, but no, that's because same as you. It's probably similar.
So your left hand, you develop this muscle just here because of the strength of like you holding chords and stuff. But then on my right hand, it's just like really soft because it's just like finger picking.
Both of mine are quite hard, but my left is definitely harder.
Yeah.
It seems a bit more like it's bulging as well when I'm paying attention to it.
Mm.
Yeah, it's cool, isn't it?
Funny little.
That's cool. Yeah, I know that some people look into things like that so much that you can even buy these like little bands. And you like go like that with them.
Strengthen your fingers. Mm.
Yeah, with the idea that you don't want any weak like body parts. And obviously, usually, like say like you're like gripping a barbell. Like one massive thing, say with like deadlifts, is like grip strength. You know, especially because like powerlifters can't wear straps. You know, you're not allowed them in competition.
Oh, okay.
You can in strongman, most strongman competitions, but you're not allowed them in powerlifting. So you have to get you have to have a really strong grip, and you'll achieve that. Like fine, you don't necessarily have to do like some people like doing specific grip work. You don't have to because you can achieve a really good grip using doing things like deadlifts, but also doing things like farmers walks and also just rows. If you do loads of rows and you make sure you take them to failure, sometimes you'll get a really strong grip. You'll get a real strong grip. Because some people say, you know, a lot of strength athletes are so focused on like your crushing grip, but we almost have no strength
pushing
outwards. So even some people even look into it like that, and you can get these little bands where you just like sit there going like that.
That's crazy.
You can sort of feel it in your forearms a little bit like that. If you start doing that enough, you can like start feeling it in your forearms.
I find it funny as well what you were saying about sloths. How our natural grip is open, and then we grip, but sloths' natural is closed.
They have to use their muscles to open their grip.
Strength to open their grip. Yeah.
So the natural thing with that because they sleep on trees, so they have to like hold the branches overnight.
Yeah.
Have you encountered any sort of like weak points or anything like that you find, Em, or like any limitations? Like what are the sort of exercises?
My grip strength is bad. I get really sweaty hands.
Yeah,
so
well,
just, if you've not got like good grip, then it's just sort of start slipping out your hands more than.
Do you ever use any chalk or anything like that?
Not really.
You should just buy some liquid chalk. You can get really good liquid chalk, and you can literally just use like just a little squidge, and then it's really good, really helpful.
Stick to it a bit more.
Yeah. What about sort of like exercise and that? What would you say you're like most natural at? Sort of. Would you say like squatting?
I enjoy squats.
Yeah, I love squats.
Yeah. I think that's fun as well.
Yeah, I think they're real fun. I love squatting. I absolutely love squatting. It's definitely one of my very favourite moves. I love squatting and I love dips for some reason. I love doing dips. I just love doing dips.
I like dips.
Yeah, I usually like do dips like at least twice a week and 2 sessions a week. I just think you get like so much bang for your buck out of dips, and I just love the fact that all you need is bars as well. You get your chest and your triceps and your shoulders so strong, you know. Love doing my dippies.
Hardest one for me is pull-ups.
Yeah, pull-ups. A lot of people really struggle with pull-ups. Yeah, and it's harder for women in general as well because women have slightly less upper body strength than men. You know, just due to like hormones essentially, like testosterone and stuff, and the way that we're like anatomically different. So it's like women really struggle with pull-ups, but most people.
Yeah, I know Meg would always struggle with push-ups and that with her wrist strength.
Oh, yeah.
Or like like say if
she would hurt her wrists to be like that.
Yeah, and she does a lot of yoga, so some of the positions in yoga it's like almost like a push-up, but then you go on your side. I don't know what it's called, but you're like planking almost, but on your side with your wrist taking your whole body weight and your upper arms up in the air. And she could only do it for a few seconds because her wrist. She
should try doing it on her knuckles instead.
On her knuckles.
She should try doing it on her knuckles instead. That's what some people do, you know, with like push-ups and stuff if they can't.
Okay.
If it hurts them too much to be like that. Or I know like some guys are like so like heavy and so strong. It's not necessarily because they've got weak wrists, but if you know what I mean, it's like because they're stronger than their like wrists can handle. Do you know what I mean? Because they're so heavy. So like some real strong guys will just do them on their knuckles as well, because it's just anatomically more advantageous. You know what I mean, to be in that position.
Knuckles.
Yeah, man, to have your knucks like that. But yeah. What about you, Bullwinkle? Have you been enjoying your little fitness journey?
I have.
Yeah.
I feel like I was definitely more. I found my flow.
Yeah.
And I was going like pretty much every day, bar weekends, doing like a gym swim sort of thing. So I'd be gymming one day.
Yeah, because you love your swimming, don't you?
Yeah, I'd like to think of myself as quite a decent swimmer. So I've been real enjoying going to the pool. But then I went to that festival, obviously, which we spoke about a couple of weeks ago.
Where you got lost.
Where I got lost, yeah. And then I came back and then went to Greece, just completely out of nowhere. So that's quite fun. But it just means that I've not been in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So I feel like it just takes a little while to get like back into the rhythm, and going every day. But I'm sure I'll be back on it like pretty soon.
Yeah, you got your supplements now, haven't you?
Yeah.
Your protein enhancements.
I've got some creatine as well,
Uncle
which
Mark calls
I
them.
ought to start taking as well.
Mate, yeah, take your creatine. Do you take creatine then?
No.
No?
No, that's like a
Cool, your dad
drug
would be
in
like...
my house.
Yeah, I was going to say, your dad would be
Yeah.
nuts about that, aren't he? Thing is, the creatine's found in meat, so anybody that eats meat does take in creatine.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, it's a bit like protein powder. It's just because it's like convenient, And obviously it means you can take it more concentrated. So it's like we all have creatine in our muscles, but when you exercise, it like drains the creatine out. So the idea is if you want to work out the next day, you have some creatine so it will top it back up again. That's all it is. It's not like yeah, it's so funny, and people that don't know anything about like sports supplements and that, I just think almost like, oh man, yeah, he's taking steroids.
Yeah.
So nah, man. Like, don't get me wrong, it does give you like a bit of an advantage, like compared to not taking it. But like, it's like nothing. Like as I said, like you can find it in food. Like we all take in creatine. And the same way we all take in protein. So the idea that like a protein powder or like creatine powder would be like have these like crazy supplements. It's like, well, it's no different. If you ate a steak has a lot of creatine in it, and steak has a lot of protein in it. And I'd go as far to say as like a steak will build muscle better than a protein shake would. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, it's not that like necessarily. Yeah, I know spoken about it a bit before. It's not necessarily that protein powders and things like that are like going to make you hench. It's mainly for convenience and all, as a way of like topping up your protein. So
and if you want to get specific things that they have specific ingredients, like could have extra bits and bobs in, like vitamins.
It just makes it easier, doesn't it? So I mean, say if like like a lot of people are busy and stuff like that, if you get to the end of your day and you're like, oh, I probably haven't had enough protein today, have a protein shake before bed, and that just like tops you up. And if you're like really physically active and you like love training, it's like one of your biggest hobbies, then that's like massively advantageous.
I used to really like it after a workout as well. It's like a little treat.
Yeah.
Like a before you've worked up a massive appetite where you're gonna have a big hench meal, just having a protein shake just after, like a little bit after, is like a nice. It was for me. It was because they taste pretty nice as well. Like
oh yeah, man! If you get a good one, nice little chocolate whey protein with some creatine chucked in, and then it's like boom, you get that down your neck, and then I think I can have a nice shower and that, cook my dinner, and I'm sorted then. And then also you're getting that process of rebuilding going, because the main reason why you want to take in protein is just to repair. That's like, it's like they're like the building blocks of your body, protein. So it's like when you work out, you're tearing your muscles down essentially, and then they need to be repaired, and you need protein to do that. So you need to make sure your body's getting enough like protein, because let's face it as well, it's like protein isn't just for your muscles. You need to make sure you're getting in enough, because a large percentage of it is going to be going around for the rest of your body. All of your internal organs need protein, to function. All the cells in your body do. So you need to make sure that you're taking enough, not just to like adequately serve all of your internal organs and stuff like that. But then if you're like doing things like weight training all the time, you need to make sure that you're efficiently, if you were actually like into, you actually actively want to improve, you need to make sure you're getting in enough to rebuild your muscles. Otherwise, you're actually probably going to regress and actually get weaker rather than get stronger. Like diet's actually like more important than actual like the training itself in that regard. Oh man, this is like a bit different than normal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Normally we're talking about like
taking it all in,
baby.
Normally we're talking about like gnomes and stuff.
Yeah.
like genital facts. Astronomy.
I like it switching up. You've got to do it, man.
Yeah, we'll listen to some tracks now, and then when we come back, it's time for Quickfire Facts.
Quickfire Facts.
Pandora's box is about to open
wide. Really wide.
Super wide.
I love that sweeper. I'm so
good,
glad that you got that.
Drooper is completely
bull
to thank for that.
Yeah. Shout out to the Bearable Bull for that's an awesome.
Bearable Bull.
The Bearable Bull on his crypto.
Thanks to everyone for joining us this evening. Hope you're all having a lovely, lovely, sweet, sultry evening out there, whatever you're doing. Also, thanks to my cousin Emma for joining us this evening. It's time for Quickfire Facts! It's that time of the day where we just ring off loads of quick fire
Facts. Alrighty.
Did you know that several times over the course of human history we have been an endangered species?
Ooh.
About 1.2 million years ago, at a time when our ancestors were spreading through Africa, Europe and Asia, there were probably only around 18,500 individuals capable of breeding, which is crazy. That's like less than the population. That's like less than the population of Bridgewater. And then imagine that's like the entire world. And Bridgewater's not even like a particularly big town.
What do you mean by capable of breeding? Just like in the right age?
Yeah.
Yeah.
People that were capable, yeah.
Or would it be that they had some weird, like, infertile?
Several, whatever reason, whether it's disease, age, whatever. It's just there were only 18,500 individuals capable of breeding.
That's crazy. And they pulled it back.
Yeah.
So majority of people will be... Well, everyone
comes from those 18,500
crazy,
people. Yeah, we all descend from that. That's 1.2 million years ago. Humans faced another population bottleneck, where the human population was reduced to less than 1,000 total. 1,000 people, just 1,000 people, around 70,000 years ago. So only 70,000 years ago, the human population went down to less than 1,000 due to a supervolcano explosion in Indonesia, which triggered a worldwide nuclear winter. So not only are we all originated from the 18,500, 1.2 million years ago, everyone alive today comes from those less than 1,000 people, just less than 1,000.
At what point does incest become weird?
The worse it gets, essentially. I know that's a really vague answer, but I mean, I think, obviously you want your gene pool to be as big as possible, but clearly from that we know that you can have just under 1,000 people and still successfully breed. But I mean, the Egyptians were notoriously really malformed and like deformed and stuff because of the fact that they used a lot of inbreeding.
Yeah, it was like part of their culture a bit, wasn't it? Especially with the higher echelons of society.
Well, they thought that they were keeping their
bloodline could pure and strong, but that's just weird.
That was the case of like a lot of sort of royal families like across the world, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, but it wasn't as bad as the Egyptians. But I mean, even like up to like 100 years ago, like people would have been loosely related. It wasn't like savagely related. People weren't like marrying their sisters and stuff like that. But like, say all the European families were like related. So say like you might have like a daughter which would marry say like the king of Denmark, but then say like the king of Denmark's like grandma might be your relative, might be like your great aunt or something. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Because as I said, they all used to sort of, to keep allegiances strong and stuff, like you would marry off your daughter to say royalty in Germany, and then they would, or to royalty in Denmark, or to royalty in France, whatever, or to royalty in Russia. I mean, obviously Queen Elizabeth's father in that. I mean, Tsar Nicholas II in Russia, and like King George in England, and what was the other one? It was the Austro-Hungarian guy, wasn't it? Anyway, they were all cousins. They were all first cousins, so they were all related. But at the same time,
those 1,000 people must have had to been popping out quite a few babies to keep it going.
Well, yeah. I mean, think how quickly, for anybody that's ever done sort of like ancestry on the internet or anything like that, it quickly can get very confusing. Because if you think about it, right, you've got your mum and dad, but then they've both got a mum and dad. So that's instantly like,
just double. But
then they've all got a mum and dad, so then that suddenly becomes 8. But they've all got a mum and dad, so that's 16. Yeah, and then before you know it, it doesn't take long before you go back and you're like, oh my God, there's like freaking hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. And I'm all related to these people, but it's hard to keep track.
Yeah, but most of the time, like, obviously not with everyone. Like, if people have got loads of kids, then it might actually branch out. But it kind of comes in a family tree this direction to where it becomes you. But I think this makes sense, so I'm going to keep going with it. But if it was like everyone's family tree was just getting bigger, surely it would almost come like sort of that way.
But it is going that way, but you're just not thinking about it that way because you're thinking about it in like a very...
I suppose, from your own
You're thinking about it from a very specific perspective, but you're not the only result of like, say, like the 16 people that are like your great-grandparents. Do you know what I mean? Because they all had... for a start, you might have siblings yourself, and then you might have uncles and aunties that have also, you all have cousins, and each of them might have 2 kids. Do you know what I mean? And even if one of them don't have any kids or only have 1 kid, well, then you might have another cousin that's had 4 kids. Do you know what I mean? So on the whole, the population is always getting bigger.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Abnormally bigger.
It does make sense. But I know what you mean. You were almost like thinking of it as like if you were the product of the family tree, and you were thinking of it like that, weren't you?
Yeah.
Did you know that you can always see your nose but your brain learns to ignore it.
Oh, I have heard that.
Yeah.
I've heard that apparently if you think about nothingness is not black. It's like the portion of
Nothingness
your nose.
is a nose.
Exactly. You can't see it. There's nothing there. You can't see it.
Nothingness is not nothingness. Nothingness is a giant nose.
Oh no, it wasn't that actually. It wasn't that. It was. Wait. Actually, no. It was smarter than that. It was if you close both your eyes, you see darkness. If you close one of your eyes, you see nothingness in one and stuff in the other. Because you don't actually see
what? Bullwinkle's
that
wisdom.
kind of makes sense.
What, you mean you don't see black?
You don't see black if you close one of your
I
eyes.
do.
What?
What do you mean?
What? You see black if you
Yeah, I
close
see
one?
black behind one of my eyes.
Do you?
Well, from the eye that's closed, yeah.
Yeah.
No. What? No.
What? No, I'm outraged.
You're
I almost
telling me.
see like
You're
a
telling
tiny
me.
bit of my nose and a black peripheral.
Yeah, so if I shut my right eye, I can see a bit of my moustache, my left nostril,
And some black weirdness.
and I can see some black in my right eye.
I think I can just kind of see like less. Yeah, I can't really see any black.
Well, of course you're going to see less, mate. You've
really
only
got
got
when your eyes
50% of your
closed.
full vision.
I can't really see any black though. I don't think. Not that I can focus on at least.
The holy baby. Bullwinkle. Thanks for the laughs, man.
That's all right. I'm here all week.
Did you know that breathing pure oxygen for more than 16 hours can lead to irreversible lung damage to the retinas in your eyes, and eventually even cause death? You might think that breathing 100% pure oxygen would be what's best for your body, but obviously we've evolved to like filter out the oxygen from all of the air we breathe, and actually pure oxygen can end up becoming toxic to you eventually. Essentially. Obviously, it's good, say, if people have passed out or something, it's good to have brief oxygen to sort of like help, get the oxygen into your lungs.
Yeah, because oxygen tanks isn't mixed with other stuff. It is just pure
No,
oxygen.
it is
isn't
pure
it?
oxygen,
so
yeah,
you
but
can have a little bit of it. But
or
not.
say if like you've got a really bad like lung condition or something like that, then it's good to have like limited amounts of pure oxygen in. But that's almost like just to keep you alive briefly. I think it just goes back to almost like that old saying, isn't it? It's like more is not better.
Yeah.
Would it feel like sharper?
Yeah.
Because if you think when you go in like a forest, the air almost feels a bit sharper, and it's really nice. But
you're like, oh, don't breathe in too hard.
Yeah.
I just think this forest smells lush.
Well, yeah, it's because it's all the pine and that.
Yeah, but
isn't
it's
it?
like, do you not think the air quality just feels like a lot nicer if you're like
Yeah,
out in the
nicer.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I
But
wouldn't
I'd
say
say it's a bit
sharper,
like
though.
sharper. It's a bit like more crisp, if that makes sense. Maybe crisper is a better word.
Yeah, I'd say it's real.
It's because all those
crisp
trees
and
knocking
fresh.
out. All
Yeah,
that.
but I guess if it was like fully oxygen, then maybe that's when it would go from like being crisp to being sharp.
Or you feel like
If you
you
know
were
what I mean.
breathing in razor blades.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, yeah, the fact that it can literally cause irreversible lung damage, that's savage. Like, irreversible. And the fact that it can cause damage to the retinas in your eyes, that's weird, isn't it? Like, you would think, like, why would it affect my eyes?
That's like the breathwork stuff that you were doing at the festival the other day, and you were saying that like that was like it was almost like brought the darkness into your eyes, and you sort of like
It's tripping balls, man.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know whether that's too much oxygen or something that it actually does to your brain, or because it's the same with Wim Hof as well.
I don't even know why that was funny, but it was.
bless me.
Yeah, because it's the same.
Bless you, man. Bless you, man.
Thank you.
It's the same with like Wim Hof with the breath work as well. It like just sends like loads of oxygenated blood around your body like it would with a workout, but without actually working out. So you're just getting your blood pumping, but just without moving your body.
That's a bit like the idea behind both cold baths and like hot baths as well, is the idea that it's almost like and saunas
It flushes.
as well. Your body almost like thinks that you're working out. So like having saunas has really good effects on your cardio, and apparently actually really long-term benefits for your heart, just having saunas, because it raises your heart rate when you get hot, and your body can't differentiate between the difference between your heart raising because you're doing exercise or doing a sauna.
It's crazy,
So for
isn't it?
lazy people, that's like the best information ever.
Yeah,
You ain't bothered
I
to
do
work out.
love a good sauna.
Just have saunas all the time.
Is that why boxers go in saunas a lot before their fight? I know part of it is to like cut weight.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's
Quick.
more to get rid of water weight, because obviously you sweat out so much.
Yeah, but maybe that's like part of the reason as well. So like boost your cardio a little bit while doing nothing.
I mean, it's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all good, dude. It's all good. This is a cool fact. There was a mummy called the Lady Di, who not to be confused with Lady Diana, who died in 163 BC. She is considered the best preserved mummy in the world. Upon her discovery, she still had moist, soft skin, lips that could move when you touched them. I was going to do it then for some reason, but that was just unnecessary. I was just going to go. Like really weird. For anyone that's just listening on the radio, I'm just moving my
Just
lips.
caressing his lips.
Movable lips, intact organs and veins with small amounts of type A blood in them. She also still had distinct fingerprints.
Whoa.
That's quite cool, isn't it? The mysterious 120-ton boulder walls of the ancient fortress in Sacsayhuaman, Peru, have survived thousands of years, even through intense earthquakes which have shattered buildings close by. In part, this is because they fit together with such precision that you can't fit a piece of paper between them. Obviously, Drew knows a lot about this, I know. Being a man of the Peru.
I just remember going there and I thought it was called Sexy Woman. Sexy Woman.
Has anyone been to Sexy Woman?
Yeah, I thought people were they were
Sexy Woman.
Go Sexy Woman. And I'm like,
you're
what?
like, man, you're like thinking they're being all dodgy in that.
Yeah, but they just want to take me to.
Yeah, I didn't realise I was in the red light district. Jesus, I just wanted to go see some cool
Yeah, I want to see those
monuments. Yeah. That's hilarious, man. It does literally when you say it like that though. It does like Sacsayhuaman. That's like how you say it, like Sacsayhuaman. It's like SACSAYHUAMAN. Sacsayhuaman. Would you like to go see Sacsayhuaman?
I'm like, yeah, cool. But which one? Like, you on that way or that way?
Oh, sorry, mate. I just want to go check out this cool monument in Peru. Sacsayhuaman. No, man.
Yeah,
no, I want to go to...
Huh?
What have I told you, man? I want to go check out this cool monument. Sacsayhuaman.
200 souls. Sacsayhuaman.
I like the idea of you think that this guy is getting increasingly more aggressive with you, just trying to force you to go see a sexy woman. No, look, I just want to come here on this little spiritual journey, man.
See a monument.
Stop trying to
know how they did that to the stones.
Yeah, stop trying to take me to sexy women.
Oh, Jesus. That is proper architecture, though. To keep
Well, it's a mystery, man.
preserved for that long.
120 tons.
Damn.
People don't know how they've done it. They're literally like impervious to earthquakes. That's how insanely well built they are.
In Cusco and where you can go to like Machu Picchu and everything, some of the rocks there, like in Cusco, it was half of them were taken down when the Spanish came and built on top of the city. Yeah, they like basically knocked the top half down, built on top of it, but you should see how like rubbish it looks compared to the actual foundations, which is still all of those rocks where it's all been. But someone was talking about it there, and they were saying the process about how they would make these rocks so smooth and so precise, and it was literally like someone's job to have another stone, and he was showing us the process of it, and they would just like rub the stones. They'd just like be rubbing and rubbing,
like almost like
sanding.
They're foiling to each other,
but with another stone. And I don't know if it was the same kind of stone or it was a different kind of stone,
like a more
but it was
one.
Literally like they would do it day and night for years.
Whoa.
Like that was like it was like a constant job.
So some people it was like your lifetime's job was to just mold this one stone.
Yeah,
that's
and they would
awesome.
build these insane cities and everything.
That's dedication, man, isn't it?
But that's what I mean. And it's like back then it was like such like a sacred act of actually building these structures and everything that they would just spend like the servants would just spend their whole time doing it, you know.
I think like sometimes as well, like nowadays we're such like creatures of like ease. Low attention span. Like most people nowadays, if like something's gonna take more than like 10 minutes to figure them out, they're like, oh no, screw it.
Yeah.
I mean, the idea that you'd like dedicate your whole entire life just to like filing down a rock.
Yeah.
Like
but that's how
my
it
life's
was so
worth.
perfect.
Yeah.
You know, like it took that amount of dedication, like precision to do it. It's
I've got a lot of respect for that in a way.
I think if I had infinite money, I'd like to build like a new wonder of the world.
Oh yeah,
like just some crazy building just out in the middle of like nowhere.
The only thing with stuff like that is like you also need time. You know, like those things. How long it would have taken for those cities to be built and
hundreds of years.
You know,
I feel like that we'd be able to make that quicker now though. Like how long did the Burj Khalifa take to build? I mean, a good example of a building that's taken hundreds of years to build is the Sagrada Familia, which is like that is meant to be like perfection of architecture, and that's why it's taken so long. But then you look at like other buildings that just sprout up in you know.
Who was the architect for that again?
Gaudi, but it went so long, the building, that it went through like multiple different people. And
is it even finished now?
No.
See, it's still not
2030 it's meant to finish.
Really?
But they're
do you
still,
know when
like,
it
sort of
started
putting
being
the
built?
spires
It was
on.
like hundreds of years ago.
I'll
wasn't
search it up, but it was a long time. It was a long
Mm.
enough time that multiple people spent their life's work building it.
Yeah, it's in Spain,
or
isn't it?
planning the architecture. Yeah, in
It's in Spain.
Barcelona.
Yeah, have you been there?
Yes.
Have you?
Yeah,
That's so
the
cool, man.
most like crazy building that I've ever been in.
Yeah.
Like the whole,
It's
it's
very
not even.
notorious.
So underneath the ground is where the church is,
Yeah.
and then up above is like a new version of the church.
Right.
But they don't really even use that version. It's like the underground bit, which is the bit that they actually use for like the ceremonies and
really?
stuff that people go into for the cathedral.
That's so
But
cool.
it's like, it's one of the most beautiful buildings. The whole of Barcelona is all like that though.
I really want to get into as well. I was watching this podcast about Greek architecture and like mythology and mathematics and geometry and all of that kind of stuff, and how it was like built so much into their culture and into their architecture, like geometry was like sacred geometry. And there's this thing. Have you ever heard like the I don't know what it's called. It's something to do with like the circle and the square, and it's where the circumference of a circle and the outline of a square, they're both exactly the same. Like
Same, right?
exactly
the same, mate.
Exactly the
Same,
same, right? But it's a practice to do it, and ancient Greek people would do it as like almost like a meditation. It's like with only a ruler or only some a ruler and a compass. Only a ruler and a compass. You draw a square and you draw a circle, and they were supposed to have the exact same like circumference or whatever as each other, and that was like supposed to have been like mathematically like perfect.
That's so cool.
And they build that kind of geometry into their architecture, but that seems like something that we've lost a bit. But it was like, these whole lifetimes dedicated to studying like mathematics in a way that they see it as a like a way of
way of life.
Like thinking like polymath means the study of many things. Like if you break down the term, like etymology of it or whatever, and I was like, that's so interesting. It's not really built like that anymore. And I thought I'd want to learn more about maths.
That was something that I found like really sad when going to Zante. Was sort of, I went and it was my first time going to Greece, and I definitely will have to go again almost to like change this opinion, because I went and I was like, I'm going to the mighty Greece, like the ancient Greece. Maybe it will still be like quite cool, quite historical, even though I know the bit that I was going to was going to be sort of like a party island sort of place. And I was almost like, I hope even though there's still kind of like ancient stuff around that I can go and check out, but there just wasn't. Like it seemed so almost run down where we were sort of staying.
Did it?
That it almost made me a bit sad. Yeah, it wasn't like run down in the sense where it was like rubble everywhere, but it was just run down to the point where everything was built for tourists. Like for tourists that just wanted to go and get a cocktail.
Mate, dude, there are loads of cool stuff you can go see.
Yeah, I want to go to Athens.
I was going to say,
if
if you want to
change my opinion.
I was going to say you should go to Athens. I think it'd probably be the best place if you want to. Because there's still old like Greek built pantheons and stuff.
Yeah, I'm definitely under the impression that if I went to Athens, it would completely change my opinion. That's why I really need to go now.
Stuff.
Yeah,
you can still like go to old auditoriums
100%.
and stuff where they used to do like plays and things.
I think there's something about architecture which really just does it for me. Like I love architecture. I'd love to go see like the Roman Colosseum and stuff.
Oh man, yeah, definitely. Yeah, well, Italy's one of my favourite countries to go to. I haven't actually been to Rome. I've been to several other places in Italy. I've been to Sorrento, been to Tuscany, but yeah, I'd love to go to Rome. See all the statues of all the like emperors and go to the Colosseum and stuff like that.
Did you realise as well that Leonardo da Vinci visited before he died? He visited Egypt, and then after he visited Egypt, all his last paintings after that had hidden messages in the paintings about about Egypt.
No.
Whoa.
Because it's like Egypt is supposed to be like a center of like ancient knowledge and stuff like that. Like Leonardo da Vinci visited it, and then he was like encoding some of these messages in his paintings. That's and things. Cool. It's super cool. And apparently there was actual like a secret society still there. Up until like the 40s, where the Nazis got in and basically destroyed it in Egypt. Yeah, and it was called like the Da Vinci something, and do you know what I mean? It was like still like
a little cult.
Yeah, like a little
group of people.
Yeah, a group of people that had been since the time of Da Vinci that had been keeping this information.
Man, I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yeah, it's so interesting.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
I'm gonna have to look that up and talk about it more on the pod. Another little fact for you. Did you know that Dover Castle is the largest in England? There are over 3 miles of secret wartime tunnels snaking deep into the cliff, and many of these tunnels are still undiscovered.
That's cool. I love those tunnels.
Yeah, baby. Actress Rose Leslie, who played Ygritte in Game of Thrones, who's also goes out with what's Jon Snow's name in real life?
Jon Snow.
Kit Harington. That's
Kit
it.
Harington.
Yeah, so they're actually together in real life. She grew up in Lickleyhead Castle. Her family's 15th century ancestral seat in Aberdeen, Scotland. She is a descendant of Charles II. I knew that she lived in a castle, actually. I remember seeing like a little interview a while back, actually, and Kit Harington said it was mental, because when he first went back to like place, obviously you don't expect to go back to like a castle. So
Which actress was this?
Leslie Rose, who plays Ygritte, like, you know nothing, Jon Snow.
Oh, she's so cool. She's like one of my favourites, yeah.
Yeah, she's like she's a direct descendant of Charles II, King Charles II, and she's like, her family still live in like their ancestral like royal home in Aberdeen in Scotland, which is just a fat castle.
Nice.
She just like grew up in a castle.
Whoa.
Did you know that Malbork Castle in Poland is the largest castle in the world, and it was built by the Teutonic Order of Knights? That's pretty cool, isn't it?
They should build more castles. When was the last time you saw a castle getting built?
Well, they don't really have any purpose nowadays.
It would just be cool.
It would be cool, but like
if I was rich, I'd rather live in a castle than like a...
Yeah,
Modern
but the whole
house,
point is,
I
like, think before obviously we had like Air Force and stuff like that. Castles were like really good, because basically it's like if people couldn't
Stop
get
the
in,
cavalry.
then there was no way of them beating you. Whereas now, obviously, you could just drop a fat bomb inside the castle and it would just destroy everything. So it was like almost like pointless, because obviously they take a long time to build and like a lot of money and stuff and a lot of mining. Think about all that stone you need to build a castle. It's like if you're going to spend like 10 years building a massive castle, and then you think that like a load of bombers can just destroy it into rubble instantly, it's not really that much point. Scientists aren't really sure why, but chopping wood increases testosterone production by 46.8%.
Oh yeah,
that's good, isn't it? Literally, you can
chopping wood.
You can increase your testosterone by 46.8% for a small amount of time just by chopping wood. We already know that like doing exercise in general in sport has like a good effect on your hormones. It will make your hormones more balanced, but also increase testosterone production and that. But compared, soccer only raises it by 17%. So football, as we are English, football. Yeah, football only raises it at 17%, but chopping wood will raise it by 46.8. That's quite a drastic improvement, isn't it? So, if you're into your weight training, you don't even need to take gear, just chop a load of wood. And it's like, get a good workout at the same time. Hugging somebody for 20 seconds or more will instantly make that person trust you more.
For how many seconds?
20 seconds or more. This is because of the release in oxytocin that is shared between you both during that hugging experience.
Yeah, I do love that. Like when you think there's all, you think so many things with your mind, but there's just natural things. I always feel it like when I go for a walk in the woods and stuff, we talked about it before, like there's something about hearing the birds, walking through a load of trees, being completely in nature that does something to your body, like that resets it, different to when you're just in the middle of a city. And I think it's stuff like that, like biological things that happen, like you just hug someone 20 seconds, that'll
all
release
the chemicals,
this like chemical
oxytocin,
hormone and everything, and it just has this effect physically on you, and it's not just your mind.
I think as well, like normally when you hug somebody, you hug someone for like a second or two, and then it's almost like you naturally pull away, and then you feel like if you do it any longer than that, maybe it starts getting a bit awkward. But then it's like, I feel like once
past the awkwardness,
I feel like once you've been doing it might be awkward up to like 10 seconds, and after that you just are like comfortable with it, and then like actually this is just quite nice.
Yeah,
and then you can just hug someone for ages.
I remember on one of like the first retreats I went to in Ireland, and some of the exercises that you would do as a group, and it would be like really uncomfortable. I'm like, just before I'm like, I don't want to do this. I'm not doing this. I'm not going around like you do this static dance, walk through the room, have a dance, and then stop and just look at that person in the eyes, and then just stay there, just looking at that person in the eyes, and then the next and then you go and do it again. I'm like, I don't want to do something like that. But
I love the fact that it's even called ecstatic dance. I just think that is the funniest thing. Like it's a dance and it's ecstatic.
Ecstatic.
You're going to be ecstatic.
But and another one was when we were sitting down and we were like sitting in front of each other, just different like partners, people, and you'd be staring in their eyes, but you just had to just lock their gazes, and you were imagining that it was.
You imagine that you were cuddling.
Yeah. No, this one was something to do. It was like to do with like a child, like looking back on the child in that person. You know what I mean? Or no, sorry, it was yourself as a child. You had to look at the other person like they were you
were a child.
as a child. So it's a bit of a weird concept. Do you know what I mean? But like,
that's really hard. I can't look at you like I was when I was a child.
No,
I could look at you imagining that I was a child,
but
not that you were me as a child.
Yeah,
that just seems really weird.
It was strange, but I remember like really not wanting to do it because you don't know these people. And I'm just gonna stare in the eyes of this person for like that
pretending
long.
that you're
really
a little Hartlepoolian.
Yeah,
pretending that they're a little Hartlepoolian.
I think that's not the most important part of it. The weirdest thing was the eye gazing completely for like that long.
I tried to make it really intense and freaky. Weird. I feel like.
But it was like so strange. It was so strange how not weird it was. You know?
Yeah, sorry.
What you're saying about like the 10 seconds thing after it'll be weird for like then and then it like is not. It was just so crazy how not weird and how natural and how beautiful it was.
Yeah.
Because it's like you just almost like you connect to that person like really intimately, like in a deep way, and you don't know them, but you think, how can you do that with someone that you don't even know? But and how is it not weird? But it just wasn't, and it was like really beautiful. And I remember just being like, I've just been really kind of like,
I think the only reason you think it's weird.
It's the thought of it.
It's the thought that the other person's thinking it's weird.
Yeah.
And once you remove that, it's not weird for anyone.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
It's just like this, like weird, like shared. I was gonna say weird then, but not weird. This not weird shared experience you can have.
It's weird because it's not weird.
Yeah, and then another one was like this guy who was like a boxer, and he was like and I was like, oh, definitely don't want to just look in this boxer's eyes for like 5 minutes or whatever. But it was like...
But then he just gave you a kiss.
And I remember that as well. And it was like... And I remember... And he was looking a bit awkward at first and that. And then all of a sudden, like, we dropped into it. And then he just went... Oh... So much love. That's what he did. Like, you could see he like broke
so
through.
Much love.
So much love.
Oh, I love
and
that.
I was just like,
that's brilliant.
That's beautiful, man. Yeah,
that's
so
amazing.
much love, dude.
That is so good, man.
Did he catch you off guard a little bit when he went?
It made me laugh. It was just hilarious, but like in a real funny way that wasn't weird, you know?
Yeah, that's nice.
That's so good.
Researchers have found that what we smell when we are asleep directly influences our dreams. For instance, what's so funny, guys?
Dutch oven. Oh God!
For instance, the positive smell of a rose will produce positive dreams, while the negative smell of rotten eggs produces bad dreams. I remember I heard that before actually, and I've got some nice little like essential oils they got in Star Child in Glastonbury. They just smell good, don't they?
Oh yeah.
And like, every now and again, I'd like, whenever I like change my bed or something, I just like flick some on my bed sheets just because like some lavender or pine. Those are my two favourites. Pine's probably my favourite. Makes you feel like you're like sleeping in a nice little forest or something. And but ever since I found that out, I do it almost like every night now.
Oh, nice.
Real oily.
You don't want to be wasting time having like weird dreams, you know?
Yeah.
Especially
wasting time.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean? Because you might think like
that sleep time.
Well, you might have like a busy day the next day.
I know what you mean.
Like, and then you're like, oh, I want to make sure I'm well rested. You don't want to be wasting half of that night like sweating because you're having some psychotic dream, do you?
Yeah, Meg's got this real nice like pillow mist
spray, pillow spray,
but it's like all made out of essential oils, but it just gives
bergamot.
Bit
of bergamot, bit of lemon.
Bit of lemon balm.
I dreamt last night that I was in like a world championship for a crossword game.
Oh, nice.
And that was quite like a cool. That was kind of cool.
I can't remember what my dream.
That is hilarious, man.
It was a bit weird though. I remember like losing and everyone was like getting really angry in the crowd.
Boo!
Yeah.
What? Because you were like the chosen one.
Maybe.
They were such fans of you.
It's very like I can never remember my dreams that like clearly. I don't really know how people
either.
can.
If you can remember that one, it's an important one.
Yeah,
to remember.
True.
Like I do always think that dreams are telling you something. It's your subconscious telling you something.
You're right. You need to get into competitive crosswording.
That could be. That because I do believe the different parts of your dreams are just parts of yourself as well. So like the crowd is like the part of yourself that's like judging yourself for not doing
or they're
best.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. If you've lost that championship
and everyone's
getting
angry,
that's like you getting angry at yourself for like not doing.
Do you
not
feel like
winning,
do you feel like we're all angry at you, man?
Maybe, man. Maybe. I actually, do you know what I actually reckon it was?
You're the
I was on
baby.
the plane to Greece the entire time. I didn't have much charge on my phone,
right?
So I just listened to music and I sat there, and I can't sleep on planes. So I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to sit. I'm just going to sort of people watch. And there was this girl in front of me, like to the right, and she literally just sat there the entire time for like a 3.5 hour flight just doing crosswords. And I was watching it the entire time. So that's probably where
the
that
crossword
bit of it stemmed
the
from.
specific crossword thing came in, right?
Yeah.
Right. Then there's a condition called orthosomnia, where people are so obsessed with getting good night's sleep that they will lose sleep over it. That's ironic, isn't it? That's ironic, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, you're just like so worried. I beg get good night's sleep that you get it
I
so
definitely reckon I've done that before.
Oh, I think everyone does it sometimes.
Yeah.
I hate it when you go past that point of not sleeping.
Past point of no return.
Yeah, and then you're like, oh, well,
the worst thing is when you start thinking like, okay, it's like 6.5 hours till I got to get up. And then you're like, it's 5.5 hours till I got to get up. And then I've done it, like I did it a couple of weeks back and I ended up having 3.5 hours sleep. Do you remember I told you? And I think it's because I got in that weird zone where I just couldn't sleep, and it was like stressful, man.
Yeah,
I just got it. Just became too
you
stressful.
You start panicking. You're like, oh god, time's ticking. Like I've got to fall asleep now.
I think once it had gotten less than like 6 hours, by that point I was just stressed because I knew that the next day I was going to be tired, and that stress caused me to have so much cortisol in my body. That's like the stress hormone cortisol. That it's like I was too wired. I was too wired like, not to sleep, which is what you don't want to be. So I was like physically exhausted, but my brain was wired because I was stressed that I knew I was going to be tired, which is really annoying, isn't it? There's a tribe in Uganda called Banyankole, which allow the bride's aunt to sleep with the groom of their niece before marriage as confirmation of the groom's potency and virility in the bedroom. That's a bit weird, isn't it? The bride's aunt also takes on the responsibility of making sure that the bride has defended her virginity before the marriage is consummated. How would she even do that, though? Do you know what I mean? Well, your aunt's just going to come everywhere with you and just make sure that you're not bumping uglies with people. Do you know what I mean? Like how would she... Do you know what I mean? Like, surely that's going to invade your privacy. But it'd be like, what? Like when you go into bed at night and your aunt's just there, like, watching you. You're like, can you, like... Go away, please.
Stay in the aunt's house for the years leading up to your marriage.
Yeah, it's a bit weird though. And then like at the end of that, if that's not annoying enough, then she goes and bloody has sex with your fiance.
You're not allowed to, but I am.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's just to confirm that he's really like virile and good in the sack. Weird.
I've got to show him a few tips.
I wonder what you were going to say then. There's a tribe in Thailand called the Moken tribe that have developed perfect underwater vision in salt water. They do this by constricting their pupils and changing the shape of their eye lens, just like dolphins and seals have evolved to do. They use this ability to perfectly hunt for fish, clams and shells underwater.
So cool.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah,
that's so good.
That is cool, isn't it? That's a good one.
Yeah, it just shows like the malleability of human vision.
That's a good one.
Although some water, I don't think I'd want to have my eyes open in.
Yeah,
like in like real
canal
murky,
water.
like Or when we went to Greece, we went in these like sulfur caves, but it just smelt like rotten eggs. It was awful. Maybe like one of the grossest. It was such a beautiful cave as well.
You don't want stinky eggy eyes.
No, exactly. But I feel like that water would ruin your eyes. Like
that would suck, wouldn't it? That would suck, definitely. Does anybody here remember Jill Dando? Emma and Bullwinkle are probably too young.
Yeah.
Do you remember Jill Dando? Ironically, she was the presenter for the show Crime Watch on BBC when we were younger, right? And it's like it's like a really sad, ironic tale. So obviously, like for years, her job was, on Crime Watch, there'd be all these like unsolved murders and things like that, and blah blah. And at the end of Crime Watch, they always used to say like, if you have any details, if you think you have any information, then ring the show and blah blah blah. Obviously, this is like way before the internet and stuff. Anyway, in an unfortunate and ironic turn of events, she was murdered during her time as host for the show. Crime Watch then did an episode reconstructing her murder, and a suspect was convicted. However, the suspect's conviction was overturned. He was acquitted upon retrial, and to this day, her murder remains a complete mystery. So that's just a bit of a sad, ironic tale, isn't it? Like her job was literally like solving these like unsolved murder cases and stuff like that, and then she was murdered, and the murderer was never found. To this day, she was like a big when we were kids, she was like a really big BBC presenter. She was like a household name in Britain. And then it was like this whole nationwide thing, like, you know what I mean? In all the newspapers and on the news, like Jill Dando's been murdered and nobody knows where her murderer is.
Talking about like speaking things into existence. Jesus.
Yeah, I know. That's crazy, isn't it?
Do you think it was just so many like it wouldn't have been so many, but the one that murdered her was just like so annoyed just seeing her on TV. It's like so much just about crimes, and it's like, I'm gonna get you.
Yeah, maybe.
Do you know what I
He
mean?
hated the fact that she was thwarting crimes.
Yeah. You know, criminal organisation, just like she's going down.
Ironic.
Gonna cancel Christmas on your ass.
Yeah, man.
Tommy would say.
Yeah, man, definitely. Yeah. This next one's a bit like weird. There was a man, a really, really smart guy called John Markle. He was a UCLA graduate with a PhD. He was also the son of a woman called Mercedes McCambridge, who was the actress who voiced the demon in The Exorcist. Oof. John ended up embezzling extensively from his company and got caught. When he got caught, he murdered his family. And eventually ended up murdering himself. But before he did, he blamed his mother, who he said was satanic and evil. That's just a bit weird, isn't it?
Well, maybe
it wouldn't be so weird if it wasn't for the fact that she did the voice of the demon in The Exorcist, and I think that just makes it a bit creepy.
Maybe she was just practicing loads for the role, and he just got freaked out by it. He was like,
just got scarred.
Are you a Satanist? She's like, no, I'm just practicing for the...
Yeah, because a lot of people have been like really disturbed. Like, but it's like, I know it wasn't even the actual Exorcist, but even like Jake was saying, your brother, when he was on, like, he was like super like freaked out by the scary movie bit where it was almost like reenacting that scene.
Yeah,
but it's like her voice is very like, it's like a horrible voice in the actual Exorcist, and a lot of people have been very scarred.
Too true to life of what like a demon would actually.
I
sound
thought you were going to
like.
say of like what his mum was like.
maybe she's been rehearsing the part without even knowing she was going to get the part.
Yeah, but he literally blamed like his mum for his murder of his family and for all the embezzlement from his company, because he said that his mother was like satanic and evil. That's crazy. It just seems like a weird coincidence that she voiced the demon.
Did he murder his mother as well?
It just says he murdered his family and eventually killed himself. It didn't say whether he murdered his mum. I assume he didn't.
She was protected.
Have you guys ever heard about this? There have been documented cases of people committing murders while sleepwalking. In one case, a man named Kenneth Parker drove 20 kilometres to his in-laws' house while he was asleep and murdered his mother-in-law. He immediately turned himself in when he woke up.
Yeah, he wasn't asleep.
Yeah, he immediately turned himself in and was later acquitted of all charges.
I know what I'm going to say. I'm going to say I slept drove.
Yeah.
That's like,
it is weird though. Like
20 kilometres as well.
Yeah.
It's like 15 miles.
Yeah, I find it so strange how you can do things when you're asleep and you just have no recollection of whatsoever. Like, I think we talked about this before, but like, I've sleepwalked.
You've done minor
stuff.
Yeah,
my dad saying to me, I was over my nan's and I was sleeping on the sofa. He came back super late from the pub, was trying to knock on the door and everything, and apparently like I got up, went into the kitchen, got a key, opened the door, gave him the key, but wasn't talking to him. Was just like this, and he was trying to talk to me, like saying, like, you had a nice, you know, you're right, and apparently I was just going. Just like gave him the key in that, and he said to me the next day, do you not remember seeing me at all? Do you not remember opening the door? You opened the door for me, you unlocked it, you gave me a key and everything. And I'm like, I have no recollection of it like whatsoever. And I was like stone cold sober, like 16 or something.
It's quite sketchy that you could just like go and do something and you would have no recollection of it the next day.
Yeah, because it's bad enough when you get absolutely blind and drunk and you don't have no memory of it, but like to think that you were just sleeping and like,
it's weird, isn't it?
Apparently I went down when my mum used to do Tupperware club as well, where like people would come around, she'd sell Tupperware to them.
That's so funny.
When I was a little kid, apparently I just went down and I was sleepwalking and just sat in the middle of all the Tupperware in the room with my legs crossed and was like, can I have a biscuit?
What, but you were asleep?
Yeah, sleepwalking, and
so funny.
to just like lead me back to bed.
Did I tell you about the time my dad found me like walking around the house like saying I need to find the key just over and over
I
again?
remember you did tell me about that. Yeah,
maybe that was we were like linked.
Maybe it's the same night. I was probably about 6,
and
and if you were about 16, that would probably.
I need to find the key, Father.
What?
I need to find the key.
With some like weird accent as well.
Yeah, I
remember Sherelle. This was hilarious when we were like kids. She was sleepwalking, and there was there was a babysitter around, and like I just saw like Sherelle get up out of her bed, like, and I was like, oh, I'll see what's going on. And she was in the complete darkness in like my mum and dad's room, just like hitting the wall, going like, oh, I need a wee. She was like trying to turn the light on, so I turned the light on for her in the bathroom.
Yeah.
I was like, Shaz, the light's on, like, go for a wee, like, you know.
Yeah.
And she went, oh, and just went in the shower and started peeing in the shower. Yeah, she was sleepwalking then as well.
That's a good one. Just beware of Drew and Sherelle when they're asleep. There was a man called George Remus, who was an infamous Prohibition-era bootlegger, who, after being released from jail for bootlegging, found out that his estranged wife, Augusta Imogen Brown Holmes, not only had conspired to have him murdered, but had also stolen his entire fortune. As a result, he murdered her in broad daylight. He also found out that she was going to run off after she had murdered him with a corrupt federal agent. After explaining this to the judge, he was acquitted by the jury after only 19 minutes of deliberation.
Whoa, sweet.
Whoa.
He got away with it. Basically, the judge and the jury heard his story and were basically like, fair enough. Even though he just
Where was this and when was this?
In America during the Prohibition. Yeah, pretty crazy.
Cool.
There was a woman called Madame Popova, and she was a 19th century woman who operated a murder-for-hire service in Russia that specialised in liberating married women from abusive husbands for a fee. She murdered over 300 victims, some by poison, some with her own bare hands, some with weapons, or some by hiring other assassins.
She was one hard Russian.
She popped a lot of them off. On the 1st of March in the year 2000, Catherine Knight murdered her husband, John Charles Thomas Price. She then disemboweled and carved up his body. She proceeded to cook his head in a stew and roasted his butt cheeks in the oven with vegetables. They were then served to his children, and then afterwards she gave them notes saying what she had done.
Oh, that's
that is
savage.
brutal, isn't it? That is brutal.
Sadistic with the notes as well.
That is crazy. In 2002, rapper Antron Singleton, aka Big Lurch, took loads of PCP, and then while under the influence of PCP, he accidentally murdered his girlfriend Tynesha Yayas, and then cut out her lungs and ate them before waking up and realising what he'd done and having a breakdown.
Oh my god.
Savage.
That's brutal, isn't it? Mate, people need to stop doing so many crazy drugs. Imagine just like waking up from PCP and then just like your missus is just dead and just cut out her lungs and eating them while you were just under the influence of PCP.
Man.
That's like so ridiculously brutal. And
What
dark.
would you even do? Like, what do you do then? What's
Just
your
have to-
next step?
You unfortunately just have to realise that you've not only ruined her life but also your own, and you have to hand yourself in and realise that you're going to have to go to jail for murdering the person you love, which is savage.
I think I'd rather take my own life.
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, it'd be pretty horrible, wouldn't it? Imagine having to like look their parents in the eye and being like, "Yeah, I killed them while I was on PCP."
Like that, man. That's just savage.
Not just murder, but cut out our lungs and eat them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird, man.
Yeah. Don't do it, mate. Don't do it, folks.
Yeah, don't take PCP, guys.
No.
In 1906, there was a Moroccan serial killer named Haj Mohammed Mesfewi, who was sentenced to be walled up alive after he was found guilty of murdering 36 women. The bodies were all found buried beneath his shopping garden. After he was bricked up in the wall, his cries for help were heard for 2 days straight before he suddenly went silent.
Damn.
That's almost just like a little dark tale,
Like
isn't
Han
it?
Solo.
What, in Carbonite?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny, man. That's so funny. Yeah, that is our quickfire facts for today, though.
Quickfire facts.
That was a cool set, man.
I like
Yeah,
quickfire
it was some
facts.
good facts, wasn't it? Yeah, yeah. I feel like I'm in a sort of like a good swing of things now with the facts.
I like when the facts are like sort of little facts and then we branch off into like something
Yeah,
sort
it's
of
nice
about-
little conversations.
Yeah.
I
And
always
like
get
other,
scared
like,
that the facts are going to run out, but there's
Yeah.
just so many facts in the
Yeah,
world,
me
really,
too,
isn't there,
yeah.
I suppose.
Oh,
I
man, we'll never run out
get
of
a bit
facts,
anxious
man.
about it. I'm like, because they're all so good.
we'll never run out of facts.
We have to make some up if we do.
Did you know that Bullwinkle's hair is made out of gelatin?
Pure gold. Oh.
yeah. Right, I think we've come to the end of another session of Pandora's Box, though.
Oh.
Nice one,
Anyway,
guys.
thanks for coming on, Em.
Yeah, it's been good. Thank you for having me.
And thanks to everyone you are all friends of the pod. Have a
Friend
good
of
week,
the
and we will
pod.
see you next week once again on Pandora's Box. To play you out today, we actually have me and Drew with our track Boat with the Moon.
Nice.
Oh, can you hear those little birds tweeting?
Oh,
Ah. Ah.
goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody.